We're going. Welcome to another episode of Drinks After Work, coming at you from SoundCloud.com/402sounds and on YouTube. I told you for months this was gonna happen.
Oh, what's happening?
But you didn't believe me. We're having audio, we're having video. You're looking at us right now. I bought a table just for this show, specifically for this show, and I needed a card table.
It's true.
So anyway, this past weekend, something big happened. And no, we're not talking about Valentine's Day. Yeah, we did an episode on that. Didn't get posted because I suck. I get that. I'm a horrible person. But something else happened. A movie that makes me so happy. That's why we're drinking champagne today. Because Deadpool...
Because it's a celebration.
...came out last weekend and changed my life. We're drinking Corbel California Champagne. I'm just kidding. Champagne. Fruit.
Contrary to popular belief, all champagne is French. It's just some wine is sparkling, which I don't know the actual.
Did you know the Wayne's World thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I didn't know.
So anyway, Deadpool happened, and we're really happy to talk about it. Now, Luke, real quick, give your spoiler-free impressions of Deadpool.
Ryan Reynolds, you are Deadpool. Great casting by Fox. Will you have babies?
All right, that's Luke's spoiler-free impressions of Deadpool. Mine are just, thank you. Thank you, Fox, for realizing the mistakes you made and then rectifying it by making this great movie. That being said, those are our spoiler-free impressions. This is a spoiler-filled review, discussion, whatever you want to call it. This is all spoilers. So if you haven't seen Deadpool, if you're watching at home or if you're listening,
Go home.
Stop. Go watch the movie, come back, and enjoy this with us. So now, let's get out of the way. Deadpool happened, spoiler-free. Chains are off. Let's talk about it. Other than the fact that it was fucking awesome.
It was great.
It was everything I wanted in a movie and more. You know?
Yeah.
And the thing that
I just liked how it blatantly went at X-Men Origins, and it was like, hey, you guys, that was a shitty movie.
Yeah.
That was a poor portrayal. It was a betrayal, but it was a poor portrayal.
It was a betrayal
of Weapon X Deadpool.
We'll talk more.
And, they totally rectified and
all the bad things they've ever done. I don't even care about Fantastic Four. I was upset with that movie. Rectified because of this movie. Everything else, taken care of. And what I loved about this movie, it's an origin movie, but it's done in an interesting way that it's not boring. I was never bored watching this movie. I never...
That's because it wasn't like, your typical origin story of like...
It would start at present day, then it would jump...
There it is.
It would be present day, flashback for a while, back to present. It would keep jumping back and forth between present day. Now, normally I wouldn't be like, okay, normally I'd be like, nah, I don't really like that. But this, it works. It works for this story. It works for how they can present this to people. And I like that. Because in reality, if you made the movie with just the present day scenes, the movie's not maybe like half an hour long. Because there's the big bridge scene that is the test footage, essentially. The bridge scene, him growing his hand back, and his girlfriend getting kidnapped, going to the X-Men, fighting Ajax. That's really it. And it's not that long of a movie. But with all the other...
He got his name from the soap.
Flashbacks. That made me laugh, too.
That was so funny.
Because I didn't even think about that. That's...
that was like the ultimate... Like the first thing I thought of was the soap. I was like, that's a really shitty name.
I'm going to advise you not to hit the table because it picks up on the that would pick up on the mic.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying. Okay, another thing, too, about this movie, I was worried coming in that I think I would have loved this movie even if it would have been bad, to be honest, because I love Deadpool so much.
Yeah, you are really biased when it comes to Deadpool.
But he's my favorite Marvel character, because But I will say this: none of the humor made me cringe. All of it was funny. There was not one thing I didn't find funny.
That's because you knew. That's because you knew that Deadpool is the inappropriate and everything. Whereas, like, a lot of people...
This movie still shocked me. This movie still kind of like, I was like, holy shit, they're really going balls out on the R rating.
Because, like, in my opinion, I think a lot of the people that went and saw this movie just saw it as, it's Marvel. He's X-Men, blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, kid-friendly. Regardless of the R rating that they got. And they were like, oh, okay, so it's going to be a little bit, more violent. There was barely even any violence. It was mostly just...
No, it was... But the violence that was there was pretty great.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying,
it was mostly nudity.
Mostly just the sex.
And swearing.
Yeah, the language. And I'm saying that a lot of the people that went and saw it, they probably don't know exactly who the fuck Deadpool was or who he is.
So for me, it wasn't... I'm glad. We talked about this before, I'm pretty sure, on the podcast or whatever. You can't make it PG-13 Deadpool.
Oh,
I mean, you can, but
it's not gonna be
this movie that we saw wouldn't have been as awesome and as great as it is if it wasn't for an R rating.
I mean, they could have done a lot of the same things, except the strip club.
Just tits
they would have been covered up.
And it's not realistic.
The jokes
all the
less.
All the sex. I mean, the sex wasn't too. There's one
revealing
scene of nudity, and then you see it right on his butt. Which that's
what's like in the part where they're fighting in the where he's fighting Ajax, and he like does this like.
Oh, by the way,
his dong's just like dangling.
Yeah, he naked fights him. By the way, that is all Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, figured.
He in an interview they asked him about it. He goes, I grew up with two brothers, so I'm not afraid to wrestle a guy naked. Well, let's just kind of break down what.
I mean, I wouldn't be afraid.
What are the things that you loved most about this movie? Keep in mind, it's spoiler talk, so just go at it. Say whatever you want. What are the things you love more, like story-wise? What are the things that you love most about Deadpool?
I just like his ability just not to give a fuck. Like he kept going. It was like, I'm gonna stab this guy, and he goes like, hey, fuck you. I'm gonna do that anyway.
The fact that he kills people?
Yeah.
That's probably the most appealing thing about this movie is such a breath of fresh air.
Oh, I mean,
it's a kick in the pants of the superhero genre needs, because it's so oversaturated and it's so.
And Ryan Reynolds just said that it couldn't have come at a better time because we're in the prime and like the heart of superhero movies, and this one is just like batshit crazy bananas. Where.
And to me, that's another thing too, is why I love Deadpool so much, and why the character is so appealing to me, and why I love this movie, is what it really captures is Deadpool exists in the comic book world to mock comic books. Like, he breaks the fourth wall to intentionally make fun of comic books and make fun of superheroes. And he does that a lot in this movie.
Fourth wall break inside of fourth wall break.
That's like 16 walls. So sometimes some people. Oh, go ahead.
Well, for me, the whole anti-hero thing is like, if I were ever to be a hero, I'd probably do the same thing. I'd be like going at it and then just like wasting dudes, breaking necks, taking names, cashing checks. But because like my whole concept of the whole like Colossus, when he was like, you have 4 or 5 chances to be a good guy. Whatever, to be a hero. 4 or 5 moments to be a hero, and then he's like, "Well, I'll just keep my eyes out for the next 4." When he just shoots him at the end.
I'll keep my eyes.
And like I like the way that they did that, because in the whole concept and the line of the thing is like, Colossus is here, Deadpool is all the way over there with the morals and everything, because he's like.
That's why I thought it was interesting to bring Colossus in, because Colossus is the stereotypical hero. Stereotypical good guy who is altruistically good, and Deadpool is not anywhere near that. So I like that they brought him in there and kind of played up on that.
And like my whole thing of like, because like Batman's my favorite superhero, and my whole philosophy on him is he would just kill one guy, save millions and millions of people. Whereas I think that's the case. Like.
And the other thing I love, too, about this movie, and I love about Deadpool's character, like, Deadpool has blown up in the last few years, become a lot more people are aware of who he is. I wouldn't say until this movie, I wouldn't say mainstream. You know, like a lot of people know about him, but
well, ever since Ryan Reynolds, like last, not necessarily the whole 11 years of this, they've been trying to get this movie to go, but at least the last like 5 years, it's been a lot more popular just because Ryan Reynolds has been doing a lot of promoting it. And they're like, oh, we know who he is, so I guess I've known who Deadpool is all along.
And my point is like if they make more of these what they are, obviously. They greenlit a sequel before this even movie was released.
As far as the fans.
Yeah.
Like,
well, to me, it's cool because they have this ability now to just bring in all of these crazy off-the-wall C-list heroes and villains because that's what Deadpool does. If you read any Deadpool comic, you'll be reading, and if you're not ingrained in comic book culture and you know who these guys are, a lot of times you're like, who the fuck is this guy and why is he doing this and what are they doing? Oh, we'll get to that.
He's a man of time.
So you loved the attitude.
I loved the fact that there was no limit and that they kept going through.
That they took that R rating and they went with it.
Oh yeah,
they went 100% for it. And you loved Ryan Reynolds in it. You loved all of it.
Because Ryan
what
Reynolds
didn't you like, though?
is
Deadpool. I can't picture anybody else playing the character.
What I didn't like...
It's the role he was born to play.
There wasn't much I didn't like. I just wanted a little bit more fourth wall breaks, a little more talking to himself.
No, I've been thinking about that a lot. And I think he did... I think they did a lot of fourth wall breaking. I think it's fine where it's at. Could they have done more? Sure. I think they could.
I wanted more of his imagination, like, in the game. When he's riding, like...
he has, like, a second...
Like his... Where he's just...
I was watching the spoiler review over Kind of Funny. YouTube.com/kindoffunny. You're welcome. And Greg said that. He's like, I wanted more non-sequitur jokes, like a Peter Griffin Family Guy thing, where there's this, like, non-sequitur inside his head jokes. I think you can do that more in the sequel.
Yeah, true.
I don't think you can necessarily do that in this movie. I think...
Well, I mean, other than that, I think this movie was great. Like, it was 100% what I wanted, like, and more.
Absolutely. I can honestly tell you, I went into this movie believing it was going to be great. I came out of it thinking, it's possible. It happened. There was a fucking awesome Deadpool movie. It happened. I can die now. Because in a matter of months, I've had a fucking awesome Star Wars movie and an awesome Deadpool movie. After March, then I can die. Because then
we get to see BBS.
And if that's great, then yes, kill me then. Because I have no other reason to live. Because I've seen everything I need to see. What I liked, what I hated about it. What I liked, matter of fact, I loved, is, I said it earlier, the humor was just awesome. It was great. It was perfect. It was crude and crass and on the nose.
And rude.
They didn't. I think I read somewhere there was 84 F words in this movie, and there's like there's some weird tally of it online. There was like 21 obscene hand gestures.
This little shake lady.
Yeah, and then there's 84 F words, and I don't know how many exposed breasts and all this. The movie is dirty, it's raunchy, it's gritty, and I like that because that's who he is. That's who Deadpool is. You know. If anything, I will say this about this movie: it was handled with absolute care. These guys, the people that made this movie, loved the character.
Well, they nursed his baby hand.
And they jacked off with it.
That was fun.
But it was clearly made with people that love the material and care about the material, and it was handled with 100% love and care. It wasn't, and you know the thing that I love the most about it, it was given such a modest budget, and I think, God, I can't talk. The champagne is getting to me. I don't think Fox believed in this movie, and I don't think anybody thought this movie. You know what they pretty much did was just like, oh, the test footage came out, people went nuts over it. You know, here's like a couple $1 million. Go make this movie. Probably won't mean anything. Oh, you want an R rating? Yeah, we don't give a shit. Go make your
they're already breaking records.
For an R rating, absolutely. The movie is made in this opening weekend. It's already made over, I think, $140 million. It was made on like $20 million.
Yeah, I mean,
Like they made.
that's
they
the
made,
thing is like they didn't need that much CGI for this movie either. Like, granted, there's a lot.
Some of the fight scenes they had.
Yeah,
like,
that's
some
what I
of
mean.
the
Like, that was
like
about
the
it.
car flip was like the big one. And
Yeah.
Of course, Colossus is going to be.
But most
CGI.
of it was like him in
And
the
they-
bar.
The only thing that
the Deadpool.
The only
and-
thing that I really liked about the CGI is his eyes, because that way because you could tell they were like CGI eyeballs in his mask, which is good because you can make it more expressive that way. I'm okay with things like that. That doesn't bother me. But yeah, this movie.
Which that's the only thing I want to see in BVS is Batman have the white. Like,
It does in
cartoons.
the machine. The big robot.
But that's different.
That's a different podcast.
That's like Iron Man eyes, but
Different
he's in the big
podcast.
suit. No, I mean, yeah, like I think that was one of my favorite parts of just the suit in general.
Where his eyes were
It's
actually
just
expressive.
it's just the white over his eyes because like almost every like
Has their eyeballs.
have just white
Yeah, yeah.
in the comic books. And
He
stuff.
does in the beginning. That was really funny when he first made his suit. He goes, and he looks at the screen. And he's like, "Is this making my voice sound muffled?" Like, just
Yeah, and then he's like using the
oh, you're not
Tide to Go pin to like get the blood stains.
Or and again, so
Club soda and lemon.
that's what I loved most about this movie is it was clearly made by people who get Deadpool, understand Deadpool, and care about him as a character, and didn't just didn't just shell out a movie to make money. They made a movie with care that they wanted to make and they loved. Another thing I loved about it was the fourth wall breaking. Again, we'll bring it back to that. I think there was enough, and I liked the fourth wall breaking. What I really liked, some of the jokes I really liked with the fourth wall was when he messed with the camera, like when he shot the gum on the camera and he wiped it off, or when he's going after the guy that recruited him and he goes up to the camera and he looks at the camera and goes, "You're not going to want to see this," and then just takes the camera and
That was
pulls it away and then he like kills the dude. I like little things like that. In the sequel, it would be cool to see him do even further things, or like he like spins the camera and you see the film crew or something,
Mhm. Well, I mean,
or like he
I
like
just
goes
wanna
up
be
to
able
the
see-
screenwriter during the movie and be like, "Change that," or like something like that. I would like
It's
that.
like, I mean, one of my favorite like things was in the game when he's talking to Cage or Cable. Why did I say Cage? Cable, and he's like telling the user to end it, so he just shoots himself in the head.
Mhm.
Like, I wanted to see more of like that, of like inside his own head.
Also, the humor I loved, but one of my favorite. I always said this. So my two favorite jokes, and maybe not my third one, but one that is an honorable mention. But my two favorite jokes is when Colossus, when he's trying to fight Colossus, it's fucking hilarious because he just keeps breaking bones.
Yeah.
And when he's carrying him off, he cuffed him. He's like,
You ever seen 127 Hours?
when he cuffs, well, not that. It's when he's got him cuffed and he's like, "We're taking you to Professor Xavier," and then Deadpool goes, "McAvoy or Stewart? These timelines are confusing." I laughed probably the hardest in the whole movie at that because it was like, fucking A. Thank you, Deadpool, for being that out there where you can just make stupid comments like that. And you're in that universe, but you can still talk like us and be like, well, you know what? Which one are they going to use for this movie?
But
And then,
I did like the ever seen 127 Hours?
And he chops it, and then he
Long
chops his
story
hand
short.
off, and it's a middle finger when his when his arm falls out. And then my second favorite joke is when he's getting ready to fight Ajax, the final battle, and then he goes to the
Am I gonna have to spell
mansion.
it out for you?
Which is another funny joke inside that joke is when Teenage Negasonic Warhead goes, "Why do we even stay here? It's going to get blown up again." And sure enough, in the trailer for the X-Men Apocalypse, you see it getting blown up. But he goes up and he's like, "This is a really big house, and there's only two of you." And then he's like, "It's almost like the studio couldn't afford
it's almost
more."
Fox couldn't afford more.
That was funny. I love that. But the honorable one is, what did Ajax said something at the end of the movie. He was going to fight him. He says something to Deadpool. And he goes, "That's a good one." And then he looks at the camera. "That was a good one." And then he looks back to go find him. And it's like, that's awesome. I love that.
I really liked when he's like, "What's my name?" And he goes, I'm gonna have to spell it out for
I'm
him.
gonna fucking spell it
He
out
like
for you.
pulls
And he
out
kills
all
all
the
his
body.
dead guys, and he spells
Francis.
Francis.
Oh man.
Or I really like, one of my things that I really like that was like one of the best about the fourth wall breaking, it's fourth wall break, it's not a fourth wall break, that's like 16 wall. No, it was when he's saying something, he says something, looks at the camera and says something, and Colossus is like, "I can hear you." He goes, "I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to them."
Yeah.
I love that. there's so much I loved about this movie, but there are some things that I didn't like. It isn't a perfect movie because there's no such thing as a perfect movie, obviously. The things I didn't like, I wish they would have
mentioned the Weapon X program.
They didn't mention it. Yeah, it's you've already clearly said that he's going to be in the X-Men universe. You've set it up for him to be in that X-Men universe. Why not just explain that it's Weapon X and that it's Wolverine's healing factor that makes him heal that way? Because in reality, this origin story, they don't really explain anything about him, why he has a healing factor, other than, oh, he got put in this chamber that kills you if you don't mutate. Okay, but that kind of just doesn't make sense.
Well, they didn't explain the fact that they injected him with a whole shit ton of other mutant.
Well, they don't because
that's what I'm saying.
Like, I feel like they could have done better with that. I understand you're trying to get more mainstream with that, but it's not that hard. It's just a simple line of dialogue. Like, do you remember the Weapon X program? And then, because he's already referenced Wolverine at this point in the movie, he's already referenced all that stuff. So I would have just said, "Oh yeah, it's Wolverine's blood that they gave him, and that's why he has the healing factor. It actually bonded with his DNA, kind of thing." That's really my only gripe, and the fact that he's not really a mercenary and he's just beating up thugs, I didn't really like that either, because in the comic books, he's still a mercenary. He gets the chance
left the military
to be a good guy.
To be a guy.
That's the thing, though. The origin of Deadpool, he's not a good guy. He slowly becomes a good guy because readers started to like him. So, I mean, I understand that the movie can't really do that. And the thing is, you have Ryan Reynolds, he's too charming. He's too charming that you can't not make him charming and do those things. So I understand that. That doesn't bother me. That being said, Deadpool, in my opinion, the best superhero movie I've ever seen. And yes, I'm biased because Deadpool's up there with Batman. It's my favorite comic book character.
It's definitely up there. It's definitely one of my favorite.
I think it's the best one.
I believe it's the best R-rated hero movie. No, I'm just kidding.
The only competition is Watchmen.
But, I mean,
it's definitely technically Blade. Which the Blade 2 joke in that movie is great. When they're in their overcoats, and he goes, "Don't miss your midnight premiere." Midnight showing of Blade 2, yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. But I think I definitely enjoyed this movie a lot.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to go see it again tomorrow. I can't wait.
I'm probably going to go. Because
I'm going to buy this movie day one on Blu-ray.
Oh, I might even...
I'll pre-order it.
I might even do, like, the most expensive copy, like, all the extra
special did you know there's this, like, one website called Savvy, SAVVI, and had an exclusive steelbook? They're out of it, obviously, because it's sold like hotcakes. I imagine you can still find it on Amazon or eBay, but it's like a steel box. You ever seen a steelbook?
Oh, yeah. And they have those ones of, like, all the
it's not
Star Wars ones.
Yeah, it's like that, but it's like this edge cuts off one of his logo. It says Deadpool. And then you open it up, and it's him fucking laying on the rug.
That's awesome.
And then, you pull out the DVD. The marketing in this movie, they're the real MVP. Now, granted, I was going to see this movie no matter what, but they did an amazing job getting people in
there. They did it very well, because...
The 12 Days of Deadpool marketing campaign for Christmas, genius idea. Just release all this stuff. And you know what it was? It was just some things with really dumb things of, oh, let's put him in an ugly sweater and put it on there. Oh, let's make him look like he's writing a list to Santa Claus in crayon.
Which is good, because they did a whole bunch of
take a shot
promotion and different quote-unquote trailers without actually getting...
Nothing in those gives away anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, especially, like, with the last couple of days before Valentine's Day, and he's laying there and he's got a rose. It's like, oh,
it's about...
Your boyfriend said this was a superhero movie?
No,
it's not.
He said, oh, it's a couple days till Valentine's Day. You're freaking out about what you should get your loved one. Take her to my movie, because it really is a love story. He's like, remember, it's all about me. You.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I want to talk about. God damn you, Rico. Surprisingly, I was really invested in this love story. I was really invested. I was really invested in Wade Wilson, the person.
Even though half of their whole story was just them doing it. Which, I want to point out, my favorite part of that whole thing was when he's bent over and she straps him on.
And she's like, nope. And she sodomizes him. Yeah. That's right, people. There's sodomy. Also, I want another. We're kind of rambling, talking about this movie. Whatever.
Which, I mean, that's what you were getting into when you log on.
When you said, "Hey, let's say our drinks after work," spoiler review. You're gonna know we're gonna be drinking and talking about a movie.
It's true.
Parents, for the love of God, it is rated R. If you're gonna watch the movie, watch it at home. So when the dirty parts show up, cover their eyes.
No. And ears and earmuffs.
Because
don't let your kids see it at all, because if that's what you're going to be doing, that's going to be a lot of this.
This whole entire movie.
It's going to be a lot of this.
This whole entire movie.
It's just going to be a waste of your time watching other kids, because you're going to miss a lot of stuff.
Go watch Civil War. Go watch other movies. That's fine. Enjoy these movies. Enjoy this for yourself, because this movie is clearly for adults. And I will say this. This movie, being as loving and caring as it was definitely made for... It was made for a mainstream audience, but it really was made for the fans.
Oh, yeah.
It was really made for people that care about Deadpool and love Deadpool.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably why I love it so much. And then, like I said, I'm going to go see it again in theaters, and I'm going to buy the Blu-ray day one when it comes out. I might even pre-order it, because you can pre-order it. Because that's a new thing now. People are like, oh, you can pre-order the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I would totally do it, because I love that movie. It was a good time. So let's now that we talked about Deadpool and all the spoiler stuff, now if you've been this far and you got all those spoilers, shame on you, you're fucked. But if you haven't and you muted us, and you're like, hey, maybe we can come back and watch and listen, maybe they won't always talk about the movie the whole time, guess what? You maybe can, because now we're going to talk about sequel. What would you want to see for a Deadpool sequel?
A Man at a Time.
They've already announced, again, earmuff real quick, they already announced at the end of this movie in a brilliant homage to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. They've already announced that Cable will be in the Deadpool sequel. So now, that being said, I want Cable and Deadpool.
I just want to see the very, very love-hate relationship of Cable and Deadpool.
Oh yeah, it's probably that's why I was telling you one of my favorite comic books is Cable and Deadpool, that series, because it's a buddy cop comic book with
good cop, bad cop.
With these two, because you have Nathan Summers, who has a complicated backstory, and I really don't know how they're going to present it in a Deadpool movie, because that would be his origin movie. Will you stop? that would be his origin movie. So how is Deadpool going to explain that? Be like, oh yeah, he's Cyclops' son, but he's also partially a clone of Jean Grey, who he has a disease that he can't cure in our time, so they send him to the future. And then occasionally he comes back to warn us about shit that happens in the future. It's kind of a weird character to explain, but it kind of works in Deadpool's world, because he can just say it however he wants, because he's telling the story.
They would do the whole thing of...
who the fuck is that?
Yeah. But, no, I guess Cyclops probably,
Well, Cyclops is in Apocalypse again.
Him and Jean weren't able to conceive a child because of their... mutations, so they had their eggs and sperm frozen in a lab somewhere underneath the mansion, and the scientists, Beast, he headed this operation. They tried to get a new
Should I
project.
You, or
no, I'm gonna keep rambling. It's gonna be a whole new weapon.
It'll probably be a
Triple X.
It'll probably be
Weapon Triple X program where they got all these different sperm and eggs.
That's the porn parody of Deadpool. I think they're probably gonna have to just.
I mean, they would do that, but they would have to modify it a little bit so people would understand.
Well, here's the thing,
because that's the whole thing that pissed me off about Shazam.
Because now it's not.
Because it's Shazam. Marvel, it's not Captain Marvel, and Miss Marvel is Captain Marvel.
Well, they were confused. No, it's because people were confused when you would say Shazam.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it pisses me off because as a person who knows,
we've read a comic book, guys.
God damn. All right. Anyway. But yeah, I think they would do a whole they weren't able to conceive.
Well, this is the problem. This is the problem.
Cloning.
It's not a problem. Here's the problem with X-Men and Fox and just X-Men in general. There's so many weird, complicated timelines that they kind of have to make work. Because, Fox fucked up with X-Men The Last Stand. So then they go up. So they're like, oh, okay, that movie sucked. Let's go back to the beginning to First Class and kind of retell that story. Oh, people really like James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender as Xavier Magneto. So let's put them in a movie with Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart that's already in there. That's like the Days of Future Past storyline. Okay, that's fine. And then but with that we rewrite all of X-Men now, so we can pretty much redo we make old as new again. So now we can keep making X-Men movies to compete with the Marvel.
I mean,
they're good. I like them, but it's just confusing.
They should have stopped with X2.
X2 was the bad. Well,
I think the original X-Men movie was like my favorite.
X2, I would probably say, and I love Days of Future Past, but I think X2 is probably the best X-Men movie ever. And First Class was.
I haven't seen Days of Future Past yet.
First Class was the legit though. I loved
First Class was awesome. I liked the origin of the X-Men.
Because it was fucking Matthew Vaughn. You want a good comic book movie, you hire Matthew Vaughn. Kick-Ass, X2, Kingsman. Hire him. So anyway, what do you think's going to happen with the sequel to Deadpool? With Cable being involved, do you think it's going to be just straight up? I think they might even just straight up call it Cable and Deadpool. Which would be fucking cool.
I think they should just call it... They shouldn't just hint at the first movie and just call it Captain Deadpool. But, I think Cable Deadpool.
I think what they'll probably do is have something where, it'll be interesting
because the thing I don't like,
you can't make their first encounter like the comic books, because the first encounter in the comic books, Deadpool is hired to kill Cable, and then Cable kicks his ass. So how do you work a way where, I don't know, or you could just do the video game where but then you have to introduce Mr. Sinister, and nobody knows who the fuck that guy is. And he's a big X-Men villain, but you got it. I don't know.
I think they could do it.
I feel like Deadpool got thrown into a weird... They could just
put Sinister in there, but not give him a whole, drawn-out origin story.
Yeah.
Which would be exceptional.
I'm just happy that Deadpool's with Fox, because Fox owned X-Men, and Deadpool is so tied to X-Men that it just works out.
Oh, yeah.
I think it'll be... But yeah, they should just call it Cable and Deadpool, and... this is what's fun. I don't know where this is going, and I can't predict where this is going, because I didn't know where this first movie went and where it was going or anything, because it just... Ajax wasn't... The guy who played Ajax did a great job, but Ajax was a villain that was just there for Deadpool to kill someone. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't that great of a character. I liked the actor who played him. I think he did a good job. I think he did a very good job. I think everybody involved with this movie did a great job.
Oh, yeah, and I think with an origin movie, you need to have somebody that's not
really cares.
Yeah, it's not this big thing where he's like the arch enemy of the villain. Because with Spider-Man, the first one, and you had
Green Goblin. Spider-Man's one of Spider-Man's.
And then they just killed him at the end of the movie. That kind of just ruins the whole.
Well, that's the thing.
That's
what I think they did brilliantly with Batman Begins to the Dark Knight. With the Joker was in the second movie. That was. Batman's getting more well known.
Yeah,
how he creates Joker, whatever.
It's like the whole Scarecrow with Crane. That storyline was good because it's like a character that nobody really knows. Yeah. He's really not the one behind the curtain. He's kind of just the puppet.
I think,
and the whole mask.
I think the Cable aspect works to Deadpool's benefit, because I noticed something at the end credits of Deadpool. You and I watched it separately. But I don't know how your reaction was when you went at the after credit scene. I know you.
I didn't actually see the after credit scene. I know.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to get out of there because of all the hipster,
the douchebag,
crazy.
Okay, well, my experience.
I missed almost half the movie just because of stupid people in that theater.
My experience with the after credit scene was, everybody laughs because it's the Ferris Bueller reference, but then he says, "Oh yeah, big secret. By the way, Cable's in the second movie." It was really funny because we talked about this earlier. You could see
who the fuck is that?
I wasn't very loud, but Ashley looked at me because she didn't know, because Ashley doesn't read comic books, right? She loves these movies, but she doesn't read comic books. She looks at me and I'm just got this big shit-eating grin on my face, and then you can see the hardcore Deadpool fans are oh, and then everybody else is kind of the Thanos thing at the end of Avengers,
who the fuck is that?
What the fuck is that guy doing? But
he's a man.
So that can work to Deadpool's benefit. So they can they can kind of play with that and change some things around with that. So I'm looking forward to it. Also, I want to point out, I love that we're in a world now.
In a world
where they can wear Deadpool's costume is fucking perfect. That is the closest.
Because Ryan Reynolds,
he himself was like, this needs to be exactly like the comic.
He said, "quote I wanted to look like it was pulling right out of the pages."
He cried when he saw it.
Yeah,
he cried. That's how much. That's God damn it,
Rito. That was one of the things that he said he stole from the set.
He kept
it because he was just so amazing.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like I love that we live in a world because in the year 2000 when X-Men comes out, that's like the first. That's the first one that really kind of gets the ball rolling. Technically, I mean,
which I think was awesome. The only problem I had with that was Wolverine's like the whole concept of that was just stupid. Anyway,
just leave him out.
Continue.
Does that in all of them?
I know.
But I mean, we've been dealing with comic book movies for 16 years. There has been lulls in between, and then it ramped up again in 2008 with Iron Man and Marvel's plans. But so it kind of starts in 2000 with X-Men, and you don't really have you can't come out and wear those outfits in the comic books. But now in 2016, it is so like
the possibilities.
Comic book culture has been such a driving force in these movies, and so many people care about how these characters look, and that's why Deadpool looks like it looks just like it was pulled out of the comic book. Teenage Negasonic Warhead, she's wearing a yellow fucking X-Men suit.
I'm so excited because they actually go home to the X-Men hole.
What's what I'm saying is you can't wear the yellow. Like they made the joke in the first X-Men movie in 2000. You can't wear that yellow spandex jumpsuit at that time because they're not that big. But now you want that. People want that.
No, I mean that was my whole problem with the original, the first X-Men. I was like, ooh, black, that's kind of cool. But I want to see freaking Hugh Jackman in the blue and yellow.
Yeah. Apparently
they should do that.
I don't know. I gotta check
the stealth mode where they go all black because in a lot of the cartoons they had that.
Yeah,
which was really cool.
But that's my point.
But yeah,
I don't know how that plays into Deadpool. Deadpool spoiler talk led into cool costumes. So anyway, long story short, people, as we come to a close in this special episode of Drinks After Work, the point is this. You just know me. That's just Deadpool is a movie that if you love superhero movies, you need to go see it. It is a great time. It's funny. It's action-packed. You're never bored watching this movie. It's a great time. Don't bring your kids.
Yeah, don't bring your kids.
It's an R-rated movie, and it earns it. There's nudity. There's graphic violence, gratuitous swearing.
If they've watched this far, they have either seen it and or brought their kids to it.
Another thing I'm upset about.
Regret it.
Another thing I'm upset about is this. Stan Lee should not have been in this movie. I've had it up to here with these fucking Stan Lee cameos. Stan Lee has nothing to do with Deadpool. He didn't create the character. He's never written for the character. Yeah, whatever. He's an executive producer on the movie. Fine. But my point is that stop putting Stan Lee in something just because it has Marvel on it. I'm sick of it. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I thought his cameo in this movie
was funny.
Pretty funny.
It was pretty damn funny.
But like you said,
he's in a strip club, yeah, but still.
But yeah, I mean.
So anyway, thank you again for listening, and for the first time ever watching. Not really the first time ever we've done the show before, but the remastering of Drinks Out of Work on YouTube. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And, yeah. I'm Jake Williams, at @lumberjake on Twitter. That's where you edit that in there. Exactly. And this is at Lucas Moyer on Twitter. The Twitter. Follow us also on at 402 Films, and check us out on YouTube. Check out YouTube. We're on 402 Films. We don't have the URL yet because you guys have not subscribed yet. We need more subscribers. We're going to put this one on 402 Sounds YouTube. Might as well.
I mean, yeah.
There's so you don't need to hear this. Thank you so much, and cut that out. And drink responsibly. Go watch Deadpool. Why did you keep listening if you haven't heard Deadpool? If you haven't seen Deadpool at this point? What's wrong with you? Were you dropped on your head as an infant?
Because when they were a child, somebody pissed in their Cheerios. And ever since they had that taste, it's been a lust for them, and they've craved it. It's been like then this thing where they like
Are you gonna go on
they just can't get enough.
Thanks for
so
listening.
They continue.
Thanks
they
for
just
watching.
they just want disappointment.
Luke.
All right. Have a wonderful day.
Want to do another one?
Shit!